can handlers. The can handlers are a group of mostly homeless men and women who intercept used beverage containers on the way to the landfill. They're the men and women that you see back in the alley picking up cans every week. It's the ones you see behind the bars picking up cans. It's the ones you see working their way up and down the street digging around in cans. For the most part, it's the active group of men and women who are intercepting material otherwise destined to fill up our landfills. Primarily, we'd like to better the condition of the can handlers, but we'd like to leverage access to more recyclable material that otherwise right now is guarded and protected en route to the landfill. We'd like to open up some of those sources so that we could, both recycle more and enrich the lives of the men and women who are doing most of that recycling. We'd also like to generally improve their image. Homeless men and women get a pretty bad rap in our country right now, but mostly their carbon footprint is near zero. They walk, or they ride their bike, or they take mass transit. They recycle clothing. All the feeds that homeless people eat at, that's using food that otherwise it can't be sold or served any longer. And when you start counting the men and women that are recycling aluminum cans and plastic bottles and scrap, their carbon footprint is negative. It makes homeless men and women the largest environmental group in action in our country. And it's important to recognize that. There are problems that people accurately nail when they're talking about homeless men and women. But there's some baby in the bathwater, and it's very important to recognize that some of what homeless men and women are doing are not just a model for, as they'll tell you, it's what we got to do to survive, but it's a model for humanity, bigger, to recognize it's what we have to do to survive. These are the same activities, and the strongest model we have going is homeless men and women recycling right now, and I'm pumped to be doing it. First and foremost, up front, the low-hanging fruit, I believe, is government material. Our government has, and quasi-governmental entities, example, downtown Tucson, there are cans all over that say landfill and other cans that say recycle. All of the material tossed into either of those cans goes into the same pickup, into the same dumpster, and goes straight to the landfill. Granted, and it's accurate, that the material in the recycle containers is contaminated. It requires sorting in order to end up with recyclable material. And they can't afford to do that sorting. Can handlers are volunteers ready and willing to step up and do that recycling just for the recyclable material. Now, that's the low-hanging fruit. Government entities, quasi-governmental entities, business associations and whatnot. Our parks have golf courses. The same thing is true at those golf courses. They can't afford to pay civil servants that sort of money to recycle material. More challenging, but equally fruitful, is apartment complexes. There are hundreds of apartment complexes in our town that don't do any recycling. And those dumpsters, many of them, $100 a week worth of recyclable material gets tossed into those dumpsters and taken to the landfill. again, if we could organize access to those, scheduled, supervised, we could enrich the lives of men and women who could use some enrichment in their lives and make a considerable dent in the amount of material that we throw into landfills, saving cities money and again, from our end, most importantly, enriching the lives of can-handlers. These are hardworking men and women doing some of the most important work we have to do in our country right now. They're modeling what we have to do to have a sustainable world for our grandchildren and their grandchildren. You can call it 303-0624. Santa Rita Park and Stone Park on Sundays and Wednesdays at 7 a.m. You can find us on Facebook soon. The Can Handlers, Tucson. Hi, Mom. We have can handlers ready to step up and volunteer to do that, just for the material they can